But here's the thing. It works for us. It is very, very odd for some accountants and CPAs and bookkeepers. This is not normal. Do you struggle with money and how to organize your business or your home or any entity that has money coming in and money going out? Probably, most people do. I want to talk about a system that we've implemented years ago that I pulled from two different people. Number one, I pulled it from a buddy that owns a coffee shop in the town I used to live in Tennessee. Jeremy Crabtree, wonderful guy, very, very good business owner. But then also a system that I pulled from a book called Profit First. Mike Malkowitz has a theory and a method behind which he does books, I say not books, but just the way he organizes his money in his businesses and making tons of money teaching people how to do it. So I read this book called Profit First. Now the book is great, but what you have to do, what I had to do is I took probably 6 months and dwindled it down to what worked for us and what worked for me. So I'm going to talk about how I took both theories and how it's been absolutely wonderful for us from a stress relief standpoint on how to deal with money, but also helps us stay organized. And it takes me in here, 5 minutes a week, literally 5 minutes a week. It's all it takes. So the first thing I did was I set up multiple accounts. I have a working capital account for our business, but then I'll also set up multiple other accounts that are either savings accounts or checking accounts. And I've looped my CPA in, my accountant in on all of this stuff, and so she knows exactly what money is going where. So the first thing I do is that we take the gross income, the total amount that we brought in every week, and we put it in a account, and we take these are our numbers. These are the exact numbers that we use. And so we take 7% of our gross income and we put it into an account called income tax. And so 7% is the amount that works for us. $1,000, we take 7% of that and we put it into an income tax account. Okay? The next thing we do is we have an account that's 3%, and that goes for rent and bills. So if you are paying rent and you have bills, electricity, power, gas, water, whatever those things may be, this is the number that worked for us. 3% of our gross income every week, again, every week, got transferred into an account that was labeled rent and bills. Again, you will see in our account that says rent and bills, income tax. The next thing we do is we take this is the percentage that's native to your city, your state, is we have sales tax. So we have a sales tax account, and for us, it's 10%. It's like 9.75 or whatever. And so I transfer every week 10% into a savings account. And here's how I come up with these numbers. My assistant takes the gross income, she pulls the percentages and puts them in an Excel document, and we transfer them less than 5 minutes every week. The next thing that we do every week is we transfer money into a profit account. We pay ourselves first. It's a small amount, but what we did is when we started out at 2%. And so I took the gross income and I took 2% and I transferred it to what I called a profit account. And I took it in that profit account, and then at the end of each quarter, I put it into a reserve account. That way I can take that money, do whatever it is I need to do with it, whether it be big expenditures, a big marketing campaign. I have no idea how you run your business, but what this did is this helped us force ourselves to save. Now we started out, here's the key. You start out with a small number and then you increase it. Do not go from 2% to 5% or 2% to 6%. Go from 2% to 3%, and then go for a little while and do to 4%, and then go. We're at the point, we're 10%. We save 10% of gross income every week. And so we take that number and we put it over here in the profit account. Again, my handwriting is really, really poor. So we're going to put this in a profit account. So I take these amounts of money and I transfer them every week. What this does is it keeps us organized. So when I have to pay income tax at the end of every quarter, my accountant simply goes to my income tax bucket and she pulls money out of there. So if I've got a $5,000 or $10,000 income tax bill, I don't have that money sitting in my working capital account because I've got a let's just say WC, working capital account up here. And this is where all this money comes from and goes to. So I pull it out of the main account and I put it in these different buckets. Now this looks like a lot of money, but again, you may not be to the point today where you're at 10% of profit. You may not be to the point where you're saving 7%. You got to figure out what these numbers are for you. The thing that we did is we have those different accounts, and what those different accounts do is it keeps us organized. I cannot stress enough how important it is to stay organized in your business financially. So if you've got, for example, if you've got a working capital account and you think all is well, and then all of a sudden your tax person calls and says, hey, you owe $7,000 in income tax, or you owe $4,000 in sales tax, and then you have $6,000 in your working capital account, and then you owe a $4,000 tax bill, you're like, oh my gosh, where did all the money go? This process for us has been absolutely wonderful. Now in his book, he goes into so many deeper theories and ways to do it. I tried that and it did not work for me. This is a dumbed down version of that, but here's the thing. It works for us. It is very, very odd for some accountants and CPAs and bookkeepers. This is not normal. But what this does is keeps everyone organized and helps them know where the money needs to be going. So the last bucket that we do for us is what we call owner's pay. And so what this is my paycheck. So I, for example, make a salary every month. I make the same. Whether we do tons and tons of money or very, very little money, I make the same amount every month. And so what I do is I take that money and I transfer whatever it is my salary is. I transfer that number divided by 4 into the account that's labeled owner's pay every week. Just the way my accountant wanted to do it. And this absolutely works for us. Now, talking about some other expenses that you may have that are not percentage based. For example, insurance for your cars or your business insurance. Those things are static amounts and they're going to stay the same. And so what we do is we figure out what that insurance amount is. And then we just divide that by the 6 months, the week, the month, whatever it is, to get that number every week. So I don't want to put X number of dollars extra into my insurance account when I could be using that money. So figure out what that insurance amount is and then divide that by the weekly amount. And here's what you can do with this. This you can't automate. You have to physically go and transfer the money every week. This, the insurance, you can automate that because you know the amount that is. And any other bills or things that you have that are stagnant, that stay the same every month, you can automate those as well. So as we close, this is something that's worked for us, and these are pieces of advice that I got from 2 different people. The Profit First book is great to go by, but again, you can get overwhelmed with some of the stuff in here. Don't get overwhelmed. Try it, and then once you try it, dwindle it down to what works for you. This is what works for us. If you have any questions, you can email us, thomas@thomascox.co, and I'd be more than happy to go through this. I love sharing this with people. The reason I love sharing this with people is because it works for us. Thank you so much, guys, for watching. If you have any questions, again, please email me, thomas@thomascox.co. Thank you so much. Look forward to serving you in the future.